Welcome back to High Flyers in STEM podcast, Greatness Has No Gender, celebrating the journeys of incredible leaders in STEM. In this episode, we're joined by two talented women from Valeo, Joanna Lynch and Preeti Aggarwal. Joanna's unconventional start in shipping shaped her rise to project quality manager, where she believes a key to leadership is to welcome the problems and evolve from them. Preeti began as a software engineer before pivoting into R&D Operations Manager, valuing her mentors for creating a safe space to learn and grow. Thank you to our sponsors Finero, a multi-award winning company specialising in financial success for contractors, freelancers and solopreneurs. It's an absolute honour to host our guests today. Joanna and Preeti, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show. Thank you, ladies, for joining us on the final series of Greatness Has No Gender. We're delighted to have Valeo and Joanna and Preeti with us. We're going to kind of start, I suppose, by learning a little bit about you both. So, Joanna, do you want to tell me a little bit about your journey and what's got you to sitting here with us today and chatting about leadership and STEM?
Thanks for having us. So I think for me it was curiosity about how things worked is what initially drove me to STEM, and also fascination with problem solving and a love of science. So I did science in the early days in secondary school, and I did biology as a subject. And I found that I had a really good teacher, and she had a very good way of explaining it and guiding us through it and making it interesting. So from then I said definitely in further education I was definitely going to do something in that field. So I applied for a bachelor degree in pharmaceutical science in Sligo IT. It was a 4-year course, and I had some very interesting subjects like inorganic chemistry, drug development and design. And it was interesting from this theoretical learning of these subjects to the real world application of clinical trials. And it really was where science came alive for me.
Did you take it from school and college straight into
Yes, went straight in, yeah.
So where did you go first then?
I went to Sligo IT.
Okay.
So that's where I started a bachelor degree. So it was, I was really drawn to those subjects. And seeing the effect, I think is where science came alive really, because you see experiments on a lab bench and then you see the impact they have on patients' life. It was amazing. As part of this course then there was work experience, which was a crucial part to understand how STEM professionals worked, and even to be a small part of that in a small capacity and to work with those, it definitely strengthened my desire to continue down that path. So once I finished then in Sligo, it became decision time. Do you join the workforce or do you do some further education? So my family and parents were very supportive of whatever I chose to do. So I decided I would apply for a master's in science, somewhere closer to home in Galway. So I did a master's in occupational health and ergonomics, a 1-year course, and a lot of similar subjects that I had studied in the pharmaceutical science, like risk assessment and problem solving. So those are the main ones I was drawn to. After that, then it was time to join the workforce. So I did as all students did at the time, and did up the CV and sent it out to multiple companies with my cover letter. And I think maybe I was a bit naive at this stage, because I thought, okay, I've done the degree, I've done the master's, where will I start, when will I start, And that wasn't at all the case. It was very difficult to get started and a bit disheartening after having spent so long in college studying a subject and then finding it quite difficult to join the workforce. And I think that's the advantage graduates have today. They have graduate programs, and we have a fantastic one at Valeo at the moment, of which we take and try to retain enthusiastic individuals and get them to collaborate with us on real world projects. And also for the individual, it gives them access to dynamic teams and to develop their skills. So it's a fantastic opportunity, and one I would have loved to have had back in my day. So eventually then, when I did get the call from a medical device company, it was in the shipping department. So I had originally thought, okay, I wanted quality regulatory affairs or pharmaceuticals, anything got to do with that, maybe lab analysis. So I said, okay, it's not exactly what I thought, but I'm kind of pragmatic like that. I decided, okay, go first, see how it leads, see where it leads me and see how it goes. So I joined a lovely team of people, and it was hardworking. It was very busy. It definitely gave me a good insight to industry, not at all as I expected, like completely different than what you learn and see in college. But we also had an awful lot of laughs along the way. It was good fun, good crack. So I was lucky enough within there was lots of opportunities in that company. So I progressed then to product leader, then quality technician, quality engineer, and eventually becoming quality manager within 7 years. So I stayed a further 3 years there, and at each stage you gain, new knowledge and new experience and new skills, which was fantastic. And then my friend sent me a job opportunity in Tuam in an automotive company in Valeo. And I thought, I only know medical devices now. I was a bit apprehensive. But I said, okay, I'll do some research on automotive and Valeo. And I was drawn to their core cultures of transparency, respect, inclusion in the workplace. And I thought, and I didn't expect to find like a bustling, innovative hub in the outskirts of Tuam with automotive technologies. So I did apply for it and I was successful. So I was delighted to start there as a quality manager in the operations section. So this is in serial production and responsible for, all serial production life in terms of quality. So it was very interesting, very busy, very challenging coming from the medical device to this type of industry. So I spent 6 years in that role, and then I moved to the current role, which I'm in now, which is project quality. It's a different stage of the project life cycle. You're at the early stages, the development stage. So I'm still very happy there, still continues to learn and enjoying it so far.
Brilliant. Such a journey. And I love the fact that, and it's true, all those years ago, getting out from the academic side and trying to put it into practice with work, it was such a challenge.
Yeah.
And the programs now that are out there and the experience you get to, I love it because it's 6 months nearly in 4 different departments, isn't it?
Exactly.
So even from company and graduate, you get to experience so much.
Yeah.
Preeti, how about you? Tell me a little bit, your very different journey as well.
Yes. Before we start, thank you for having us here today. So the personal background of the family that I come from, my father placed a keen importance on having a degree, having proper education. And he always said that anything can leave you, but knowledge stays. It stays with you. So you have to get a degree. And at the time, it was kind of expected of us. and I wasn't like a top A student, to be honest, but I did okay in studies. But I didn't want to go in medical. I didn't want to become a doctor. So the next natural choice was STEM or going into engineering. And I started when my father was okay with us choosing any of the field within engineering. And I chose based on what teachers guided me at the time, what little knowledge was available around us. And I still remember going into the campus visit for one of the colleges, and then my father went with me, and for the first time I realized how many less female are there. We're just such outnumbered in the just in the campus visit, and when we went to the class the ratio was similar. There is so many less females in the class, there's more male, and it makes you think that am I in the right place? Did I choose right? Did I make the right decision? But once the classes start, you get into a regular routine of keeping up your grades, focusing on the studies and not, how is it or what will happen and all those sorts of things. So I got my degree, and then same as Joanna, put yourself out there, prepared the CV, went for different interviews because it's not easy,
Yeah.
Having a degree doesn't automatically means you have a job. No. So did a lot of interviews, clicked one, and then I started as a software engineer with one of the Indian IT companies. And at the time, I didn't know what to expect from the job or how I have worked on so hard on learning how to apply any of those learnings into the job. And when you're starting out, it's not, it's just not figuring the job. You're figuring yourself out too, because you don't know your own strengths, your weakness. You're kind of learning on the job. There's so many dynamics in the company with a large team. So there's a lot to learn, and you try to always catch up and keep up with, what's happening around you. And you don't get to see the bigger picture in the start, how your work impacts any of the outside real world.
Well, you're doing so much learning and surviving, I think, in the beginning.
Yeah,
you can't put your head up.
Yeah, so you don't have that perception of how the bigger picture looks like, where this product lands, all that you don't know much about, but you can focus on is give your best and go from there. And that's how I think I was fortunate enough to get a lot of traveling opportunities during my initial years. So that gave me a good exposure, and I was able to get into a management role sooner because, you learn to work with different people, different teams in different setups faster if you get that kind of exposure. So I started as a manager, as a young manager. And then different roles, different domains. I have switched from energy utility companies to healthcare, home automation, and now I'm in Valeo with the automotive
R&D
domain.
and automotive.
Yeah. So
one thing that's coming across to me from both of you is how young you got into management and leadership roles. So obviously people are drawn to you as leaders, obviously, when they can see that element that you can bring people with you on their journeys as well. Is there anyone or any person in particular that you would have said would have maybe elevated you guys or maybe taken you under your wing and helped you get to where you were so fast in your careers and so young?
Absolutely, I would say absolutely. Like, we have been doing this for a long time, and all along the way, even today, we have mentors, people guiding us, managers, leaders who you can look up to, learn from. There is that constant micro learnings every day from our environment altogether. But some people do stand out. Sometimes, like, for example, I remember when, as I mentioned, I started out young. So my first project, I had a female manager at the time, and I deeply admired her, and I still do. And I looked at her as a role model that I would want to be like her, lead, and she seemed to have it all together. So, you look up to them. And then I remember her handing my first project, which was a large complex project with a huge team. And I remember going to her and saying, I don't think so, I'm ready for this. What do you think? And she said, it's all right, do your best. And if it doesn't work, I'm here. And that just one sentence from her changed my whole outlook, my confidence level. And I thought, in a way, she created a safe space for me where I can fail. I can learn from the failure. And it's not like if I fail, it's a disaster, I can't get back up. So she made that difference for me in, how my career shaped up from there, how I saw myself in different roles and accepted that, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to see something as complex and not dive into it right away. Take your time to evaluate, but then have that environment, having that environment around you is incredible. And I find that at Valeo also. As I said, I moved from a different domain and a different country altogether to Valeo, and just the openness in the culture here, the acceptance, and as a new person, you bring your own new perspective and new outlook to things. And if the culture isn't open to accept that, it becomes very difficult for you to just fit yourself in a box and adapt to everything that's happening around you. And I found that the leadership here is so open and accepting to any new idea which would bring a change, an improvement in the way we do things, in the way we collaborate across the globes. And it's amazing that, you can get to be part of that culture.
We were speaking earlier about the rate of change in automotive is huge right now. And I've met some of the leaders in Valeo, and they're so adapting, as you said, to different voices, opinions, challenges. And I think going back to your first mentor and that lady that, said, yeah, like, go try it and I'm here. Isn't that everything you want from a leader, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I have a similar experience. So when I joined, medical device was my background, and automotive was a whole new world for me and a bit of a culture shock to be in with. But I had a very good manager at the time, and he was very supportive, and there was no question that was stupid that you couldn't ask. And I felt he had my back, and supported me in things and in meetings and calls and where needed, and was a true mentor and true coach. So I think that's fantastic.
When you're thinking about kind of leadership in STEM, Joanna, you talked about shifting sectors just there from medical into automotive. Did it push you to kind of grow your leadership, your technical skills? Was there a lot of change there?
Yeah, definitely. It's a complete different environment. Automotive is very fast paced, swift decisions. So definitely it brought a unique set of challenges. And I found that, leading, I had to brush up on my technical skills on the product and process very quickly so that you understood technically what you were talking about. And I also had to rely a lot on my team. So I was new to the organisation, and my team were there a number of years and had a lot of experience. So looking for their support and guidance, which I got, and it was very useful and helpful. And also to reach out to experts. So we have a lot of experts in Valeo, and you don't have to know all the answers, and to reach out to these people to help and guide you. So that was a huge part of it. And it almost felt like you left a company where you knew a lot. You know, you were there 10 years, you knew the product, the process, you know, the people, and you're nearly starting all over again in a new area, and it's a bit daunting and a bit, you know,
100%.
Anxious, you know.
Did you ever doubt it, going, what have I done?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like, especially when, you know, you start, like I found the unspoken pressure almost to portray a persona of complete expertise and, you know, have it fully together, even when I was just new to the industry. So that took a bit of working through, and I found that in that I had to learn, speak to the people, learn from the experiences and reach out. And that support was there. And there's some very good initiatives in Valeo for new people, and also for people who are in the company a number of years. And one of the things I did was a mentoring program. So one of the directors actually was my mentor. And there's a program about how you have certain topics that you want to talk about, and you meet every month for a number of months. But I found it very useful. I did think of doing it before I joined Valeo, but I think having somebody inside the company is more beneficial, because they know the day-to-day, they know the pressures, they know the strategy. So this very much helped me.
Preeti, you moved from India, like really kind of high-tech hub, to a leading R&D role in Ireland. How was working across the different countries and cultures, has that shaped your leadership? I'm sure it's helped, having huge diversity.
Absolutely. Like, throughout my career, I have been fortunate enough to, you know, travel to different countries, work with different cultures, and switched industries as well. But coming to Ireland wasn't really part of the plan. Life took me here.
Yeah.
But it has been such a rewarding move for me, both personally and professionally as well. And as I said earlier, you know, it's more special because of, one is the culture here all around, not just in Valeo, the Irish culture all around. And then Valeo itself has such a rich and diverse culture. We work with so many different people, and you quickly realize that, you know, all people from different backgrounds, they bring something unique to the table, because we have lived through different experiences in life. We have different perspectives and new ideas to add.
That diversity of thought is huge, isn't it? You bring it from the different cultures, the people you've met, the learnings you have from...
and the awareness and acceptance of new people, new ideas, new perspectives is what I love.
Yeah, and you've obviously learnt and taken so much of that with you to a leadership role now here in Ireland, which is really good. When we talk about the personal jumps and the life choices that we take, is there an area in life that you're currently focused on improving or working on or taking steps to improve?
I would say I'm a work in progress.
Me too, definitely.
And we all are, you know. And the real shift is accepting that not everything will go as planned, or there'll be failures along the way. And growth isn't constant progress. It is 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, and that's okay.
We spoke when I was speaking to ladies earlier, and they spoke to me about, you know, when something goes wrong, that can be really good, actually. You can learn more from that to something that went wrong, and the learnings you take from that helps you grow more, doesn't it?
You may not feel it at the time.
No, definitely not.
But it's like, as they say, that it's not about erasing your flaws, but, you know, just accepting them and learning from them is more important, and continuous improvement there.
Yeah, exactly. Because Joanna, you spoke about when you first joined, it's using the expertise and the people in your team to help you get up to speed and learn.
Yeah. Absolutely. And sometimes when you join, like I said, that persona that you should know it all, and why are you asking your team members, you know, you were hired for this role. But I think when you're joining a new industry, you have to reach out, you have to learn, and you have to go and talk to the experts, and the people who know the information have been there for years. And I think sometimes, that can be difficult at the beginning, but once you get over the first few times, you learn and grow, and you engage with those people.
Well, that's survival, really, isn't it? Yeah. And it's learning where to go to get the answer, rather than sitting there not knowing.
Absolutely. No one person knows it all, and that's why we're set up cross-functionally, that each person, each function brings something. So I think that's very important to get over that maybe worrying time and reach out. And
and I suppose one of the questions we talked about is saying, you know, a time where you had to grow into a role or lead before you felt truly able.
Yeah, so for me, I think probably each stage, you know, from that first post in a shipping department all the way to probably currently, I think each role brought different demands and different pressures, and you have to adapt your skills and knowledge with those pressures. And then the most profound one was probably, as I mentioned, moving from medical to automotive. That was a culture shock to begin with, just because of the fast pace and, you know, the necessity to make quick decisions. And then I moved into the role from quality manager in operations to my current role in project quality. And it was a natural progression for me, and I was excited about the journey. But I think I became then responsible globally for a number of diverse cultures across the world, and responsible for, you know, an understanding how to effectively manage those people and different generations and different cultures. So that was certainly a learning curve for me, and something I'm still working on today.
And that virtual leadership.
Yes.
Because they're never in front of you.
No, they're not in front of you. And it's, you know, maybe once a year you get to visit and you see them in person. And that does make a difference, and that does build the relationship. But yeah, having to do it through Google and Zoom and these types of things, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Yeah.
It's constantly navigating. It's the change of pace as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's constantly moving. Yeah. Would you have something similar? Did you find yourself in a leadership role that maybe you didn't feel like you were fully there and had to lead anyway?
Yeah, there are multiple instances. And as Joanna said, right, whenever you change a role or change a job, it's a new industry, new people, you start all over again in a way. And when you grow into a leadership role and join as a leader, there are certain things expected of you. And I think it's, like, I remember one of the times I joined, it was my first switch, I think. So I was doing it for the first time, and I just kind of thought that I should know everything. I should do this and do that. And I felt like I kind of tried to live through others' eyes. I tried to live as others, you know, have presumed me to be. I felt like I have to fit into some role that others expect of me and not be myself, but
not
then,
true to yourself.
Yes, and then that kind of weighed on me, and I couldn't do my best. And then what helped me there was, you know, take a step back, focus on what you can control, tune out the negativity, if at all it's there, or even if it's just in your head, tune it out and just focus on the work. When you have the right attitude, you know, as she said, I fully agree, having the support system in the organizations, we have been lucky to have been part of such organizations where the support system is available. You just need to reach out. You need to get over that initial hesitation or the presumption that you should all have it together even before you join the company, which won't happen with anybody.
I think what you said there about Preeti, about being true to yourself, you know, when you try to be something that you think you should be, as opposed to just being yourself, you grow in your leadership style. You said you became a better leader nearly through. Yeah.
I think so. I think that's part of it as well. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're a bit older than when you started, and yeah, you see things differently. And I had children along the way. So I think that maybe changed your perspective as well. And
yeah, I think we have a perception of leadership when we're younger, don't we, of what we have to be like. And then, as you said, Preeti, we learn who we are ourselves, and that changes you as a leader then.
Like, you know, I always think of it like even in the technical industry or R&D, you know, there are different hats that you can wear. There are so many different diverse roles that you can do. And it takes a while to just figure out which of those hats fits you.
Yeah.
And you know what you are good at and what can you bring uniquely to the table. And then once you do that, it becomes easier. I wouldn't say it's just a cakewalk from there, but it does get easier.
So that leads me kind of to, what's that one assumption people make about you that you've proudly proven wrong?
If I have to pick one, I would say that the quiet ones are the ones people assume have nothing to say, but that's not true. Even if you're not the loudest voice in the room, you still have opinion. You may want to take your time, you know, do your homework, analyze the facts, and then come back with data and then speak up. So it's the perception that if you're not speaking up or being the loudest in the room, then you have nothing to say. I think that's something that may becomes part of my personality or the working style, that I would like to take my time, understand, and then go back to the points rather than being cautious doesn't mean you can't take a risk.
Brilliant. And how about you, Joanna? Anything around
I think
that?
The same, I maybe come across with a quiet demeanour, and I think same as what Preeti is saying, sometimes that can come across as, oh, she doesn't know, she's not engaged, she's not listening, which is completely false. Like Preeti, I need to take time, and especially with my role quality, to understand what the issues are, what the contributors, what the risks are before I make an assessment. And I'm fully aware that in automotive, fast-paced decisions are needed. So while I might take a little time to reflect, it doesn't mean that decision making will be slow. And I think it challenges a misconception on introverted individuals in dynamic environments, which would be me. And I think there's strength in taking time to make a valuable decision based on the data. And I think it improves leadership more effectively.
You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room to be heard.
Exactly. And sometimes I think there's a perception that, if you're not, there's a problem. But I completely disagree with that. Like Preeti, I think we take time to make your decisions and gather the facts and data, and then
it's nearly more valuable, isn't it?
It's more valuable, absolutely, yeah.
What's the one area of your kind of work that energizes you right now?
I would say right now it's no 2 days are the same. We're not solving the same problem over and over again, and Joanna would agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a new challenge every day, new ideas, new perspectives, and the incredibly diverse, talented colleagues that we are surrounded with, and the cutting edge technology. It's just so fast paced, and there's always a new day. And that keeps you on your toes, excited, and at the same time curious, what the day would bring. So that's what I look forward to.
Yeah.
And for me, it's kind of seeing the final product, because we're all contributing in some way to the launch of a new project or product, and seeing it together, or seeing the features that are from Valeo integrated. We have these off-site town hall meetings, and our VP will show us a snippet of some OEM and the launch that they had recently, and the features that are from Valeo within that launch. And it's very rewarding, and it does fill you with pride, and especially knowing that you've worked cross-functionally with many people, probably over a year, maybe 2 years. And the work involved, and the blood, sweat and tears sometimes.
It makes you feel like part of something big.
Exactly. And it keeps you going through the challenging times and the challenging days, and it gets you revved up, pardon the pun, for the next challenge and the next project. It keeps you motivated.
And I think you punch hugely above your weight for a company in Tuam, and you're competing worldwide, and I know the challenges that in the automotive industry, the rate and the pace of change at the moment, but absolutely standing up there with the best. It's great.
Absolutely. You come away from those town halls going, well done us.
Well done
us.
Yeah.
We made that happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's so good to be part of something like that.
So good.
Yeah. Do you have a phrase or a mantra or a lesson that you come back to time and time again when you feel you're going through a tough time, or maybe a bit of uncertainty or doubt?
So I'll maybe give a philosophical answer for this one. You always come back to yourself and your true authentic self. That's and that's one part I have seen that in personal or professional life, that's one aspect that you can always control. How you want to be and who you want to be is one thing that is always in your control. And that reminds me of a story, if I can share. Spiritual guru was taking a class, and he asked his students that, I'm going to ask you a question. A man is standing there with a cup full of coffee, and another man bumps into him and he spills coffee. Why do you think he spilled the coffee? And then the whole class says, because the other man bumped into him. And then he says, no, that's not correct. He spilled coffee because he was carrying a cup full of coffee. If he was carrying tea, he would spill out tea. If he was carrying water, he would spill out water. That's the way you look into yourself rather than anybody else. And then as a leader, it resonated with me, because what you have inside of you, if you have stress, if you have anger, if you have resentment, if you have frustration, when life shakes you, there are challenges, then that's what spills out of you. If you are carrying love, compassion, understanding, it's amazing that it changes your perception on how you see things, how you see challenges, and how I'll come back to this again, that you can always control how you can be in any situation in, you know, personal or professional life. So that's what I always go back to, that if I can control nothing else, this is one thing, you know, this is one being that I can control.
What about you, Joanna?
For me, I think it's embrace the challenges or the chaos, whichever may come, and welcome the problems and improve from the outcome. And welcome the problems is a mantra we use all the time in Valeo, and it's about looking at problems as opportunities, you know, for growth, and not looking at them as something to be feared or something negative. So I think this is important. And it's important then what you learn from that. So you've had the problem, it's painful at the time, but then when you put in systematic corrective actions and understand the root cause, it improves both yourself and the system. So I think that's the valuable lesson out of it.
So what would you tell your younger self now when you look back and when things get tough, and what would you say to her?
I think from a career path, I wouldn't change anything. I think at each stage, although like if you asked me then, I wanted to go in as a quality engineer and almost felt entitled because I had spent so many years in college, but I wouldn't change it. I think working your way up the ladder, there's nothing wrong with it, and you learn valuable skills and knowledge as you progress. I think I'd also tell myself to be braver and maybe not get hung up on titles at an earlier part of my career. That can sometimes be limiting, to be too obsessed with that. Also, not to worry about, you know, having a path from A to B, and, you know, if it goes off and veered off to the left or right, it's okay. Within STEM, like, you can afford that and you can learn from that. And with that path veering off, you know, you gain additional knowledge and skills that you may not have had otherwise. I think I would also say seize the opportunities. Step outside the comfort zone, a bit like today, Deirdre.
And handle so well.
And also be brave and have courage and just go for it.
How about you, Preeti? Any advice to your younger self?
If I have to tell something to my younger self, I would tell her to reach out more, ask more questions, maybe not be shy of asking questions, and then reach out in terms of opportunities as well. Sometimes we underestimate ourselves and we don't put ourselves out there. We don't ask for promotion or new role. We just don't do it because we think we may not be fitting for that role or promotion or whatever. So I would tell her to be more brave, have more courage.
And finally, I absolutely loved speaking to you both, but what advice would you give to someone thinking of pursuing a career in STEM?
Yeah, so for me, I'd say similar to my own path, I would say nurture that curiosity, whether it be problem solving or something entirely different, and go for it. Get practical experience. I think it's very important, either through a graduate program or some other small capacity, because I think looking at STEM professionals in the workplace is valuable, you know, and getting to work alongside them, even in small projects, is brilliant. Also to be brave as well, to participate. Don't overthink it. Sometimes, like Preeti was saying there, maybe, you know, am I able? Should I do it? You know, just go for it and see what happens. And your knowledge and skills will grow with each path you take. So I think that's probably my main mantra would be for somebody starting off the career.
Really good advice.
I think it does seem intimidating at the start for somebody from looking at it from outside and through the initial part, but now there's so much available, you know, so much knowledge, so much support, like, you know, Catch Them Young graduate programs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, if once they get into the industry, there are different programs to help them grow within the industry, you know, in terms of mentoring or giving them management trainings, helping them to get higher education, all that support system. Even in Valeo, we have seen all the support system is available. So it's just taking that first step is maybe what all they have to do.
Yeah, and I think it brings us back to when you started out and you went to campus on that first day and went, you know, where am I and what am I doing? And look where you are now. Like, as you said, you know, the practical experience as well, I think is great advice. See what you're getting yourself in for, and you can always pivot.
You know, in the end, it's about the work, it's the talent and your hard work that you put into it, matters, man or woman, whatever background, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we have a new initiative just launched in Valeo called Rock the Talk.
Rock the Talk.
Yeah, and it's geared towards female leaders. And it's about improving their assertiveness skills, which I think is brilliant. And also self-awareness, because sometimes you're in that bit of a rat race, you know, and you're busy at work, you're collecting kids, you're dropping to soccer and football, and just to take stock of where you're at on your path and to see, is this where I still want to go? And to have that self-awareness to just stop and take a look. So I think that program would be very valuable to all of us.
I was actually, when I joined here, I was pleasantly surprised on how strong the female network here is and how supportive the company is all around and understanding of what different challenges a female might have.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. A huge thank you to our guests from Valeo, Joanna and Preeti, for sharing their stories of unconventional career starts, global leadership and the power of authentic, inclusive cultures. Thank you again to our sponsors Finero, and tune in next week as we sit down with Freudenberg's Linda Graney and Sheila O'Connell as they talk about growth, resilience and leadership. Until next time, keep striving for greatness because it truly has no gender. Together we can make stories like these heard. Subscribe, share this episode and keep reminding the world that in STEM and beyond, greatness has no gender.